Okay, so Target has lost $10 billion in stock value. $10 billion in stock value, which is incredible. This is a good thing. It doesn't mean that we should sit back here and celebrate our victory. It means that we should double down. It means we should not cave to, well, a couple of things. We should not cave to this false idea that Target is pulling their pride displays out of their store because they've listened to consumers. They're not doing that at all. In fact, they're blaming conservatives. They're falsely blaming conservatives, saying that conservatives are being threatening, conservatives are being violent, conservatives are having these aggressive confrontations. In fact, Target has faced a bomb threat over their pride displays, but the bomb threat, you probably didn't hear about this on the media, on the mainstream media. The bomb threat was issued by LGBTQ activists who are angry that Target removed their pride displays, which include merchandise designed by a Satanist trying to groom young children and even babies. LGBTQ activists were so angry that they issued a bomb threat against Target. So Target blames you and I for deciding not to spend our money, our hard-earned money, the fruits of our labor, at their store, choosing to boycott them as consumers to send them a message that we don't want them in the marketplace if they're going to groom our kids. And meanwhile, the actual violence, the actual bomb threats coming from the left, Target completely ignores. You don't hear any kind of condemnation of that LGBTQIA plus violence that they are facing. And the reason for that is because Target is corporate groomer. They are dedicated to grooming your children. In fact, they've donated over $2 million to the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network. Its acronym is GLSEN. This organization is dedicated to funding grooming propaganda in schools and hiding from parents when children transition, quote unquote, transition in schools. So Target's not just trying to sell Satanist-designed pride merchandise to your child. They're not just trying to groom your child with really weird, grotesque, tucking bathing suits and chest binders. They're not just propagating this transgender ideology through their pride displays at store. They're taking the money that you spend at their store and they are giving it to an organization that's trying to hide your child transitioning at school. There is no way that any person can possibly justify, any person in the Republican Party or any parent, you don't even have to be a Republican to be grossed out, to find what Target is doing completely abhorrent. And you should never spend another dime at Target. Do not cave, do not bend a knee. We are only just getting started with taking our power back, taking back the influence of our individual voices, which so often we feel has been diluted or compromised in our elections. This is how we take back our country from the woke ideology that is corrupting it. This is how. Do not back down. We've done it to Bud Light. That's the template. We're doing it to Target. And when we destroy these companies in the marketplace, it's going to stop other companies from doing this, because other companies are going to live in fear of us Bud Lighting them. As they should. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is topically related. It's also just funny, though. On iTunes, this song, it's actually a rap, has climbed all the way to number 2 on iTunes charts in the hip-hop category. It's a song by a rapper about the Target boycott. It's pretty funny. I wanted to show it to you guys because I watched this and I was like, okay, interesting that someone made this. But then when I found out that it's at the top of iTunes charts, I thought, this shows you how many of us across the country, even people who don't want to be as open about it as you or as I, how many people actually support this, because it would not jump to the top of the charts unless most people agreed. Take a look at this.
Target is targeting your kids. Yeah. They put a target on my back, but they targeting your kids. They don't even need to ask, cause you all know what it is. Yeah, that's why I keep a strap, and I'm always by my beds. This agenda gotta stop. Yeah, you know we gonna win when they target, yeah, they targeting. Target, yeah, they target kids.
It's at number 2 on the iTunes charts in the hip-hop category. So funny. The rapper's name is Frigato Blow. I didn't know who it is. I saw it just when it went viral, just like everybody else. But like I said, it's funny in and of itself, but it also shows us exactly how many of us are participating and committed to stopping corporate grooming of our children. Okay, so the boring topic that I want to talk about, and I promise this is important. You guys are going to be like, oh, debt ceiling, Liz, come on, this is so dull. And it is dull. It's a very, very, very boring topic. But there's an ulterior motive that's at play here in the Biden administration that Republicans have to understand because we're just getting outplayed again. First of all, 0 Republicans should support this debt ceiling compromise, this so-called compromise. 0. The fact that Speaker McCarthy made this deal shows us exactly why we didn't want McCarthy in the first place. This is exactly why the Freedom Caucus tried to stop McCarthy and held that vote hostage in the way that they did until McCarthy promised to represent the viewpoints of the Freedom Caucus and their constituents when he was Speaker. But this is exactly why we didn't want him, because he's a rhino, he's a squish. He doesn't understand the political enemy, the reality of the political enemy that he is fighting against. And so he thinks that this is just a good faith compromise. I want A, they want B, let's find some space in the middle. No, that is not how this works. That is not who we're fighting. McCarthy, you lost just by making this deal. Guys, you as soon as I unpack this a little bit, I want everybody to get on their email, and I want you to send an email to your representative in Congress and tell them in no uncertain terms, vote no on this debt ceiling so-called compromise. It is absolutely wrong, and here's why, okay? Here's why. So we've talked a little bit on this show about modern monetary theory, right? I know it's another boring topic, but it's part of the left's grand scheme, their grand plan. Modern monetary theory is this essentially socialist, Marxist, communist theory that if your government is a currency issuer like the US is, I mean, we print the US dollar, right? If your country is a currency issuer, then you don't have to, as a federal government, you don't have to pay attention to debt and deficit. You don't have to pay attention to Congress appropriating the money for specific legislative things or executive functions that you can just, if you need money or want money, politicians should just be able to print it. And at first, you might think, well, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That would cause massive inflation. And the answer to that is, well, yes, it does. That's actually what we're experiencing now because the Biden administration has printed so much money. It's devalued the dollar, obviously, because of what value is something that you can just print at the drop of a hat. But the answer, the modern monetary theorist's answer to inflation is, okay, well, that's when you use taxes. That's the point of taxes then. If you can print money at the drop of a hat to pay for political agendas, you don't actually need to tax people to collect that money to pay then for the programs. But taxation is just the way that you counter inflation. So if inflation gets really high, then you raise taxes to lower demand so that then there's an abundance of supply and the price goes down, right? It's a super insidious, super evil, well, like I said, communist. It's intended to destroy a free market system. And these modern monetary theorists are inside the Biden administration. And one of the most prominent ones is Stephanie Kelton. We've also talked about Stephanie Kelton on the show before. And she actually is weighing in on this debt ceiling compromise. If we could bring up element 3 on the screen. This is a tweet that Stephanie Kelton sent out about, it says, a reminder of just how stupid we are. Denmark's limit is set so high that it is essentially a formality and will never be crossed. And she posted the picture with it, of course, showing that Denmark and the United States are only 2 countries in the world have debt limits. The United States and Denmark have legal caps on how much money their government can borrow. So her point, of course, is that she doesn't think that our government, the United States government, should have any limit on how much money they can quote unquote borrow. She thinks that they should just print it on demand. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.